Hi, everyone. I wanted to talk about something today that so many of us have dealt with in our relationships that I felt it deserved a conversation. It's when you want something different than your partner does, perhaps change, and it's not getting resolved. In fact, your conversation about it has grown stagnant because the real, intimate conversation underneath isn't being addressed. Does this sound familiar? Because this can be entirely frustrating. I wanted to give you today some strategies for getting what you need with better connection, better love, and understanding. I'll start with a story. A friend of mine, Robert, is a couples therapist. Over lunch one day, he told me that out of all the challenges faced in relationships, the biggest is about continually addressing our individual needs with or in spite of change. And if you think about it, change happens because it's a natural part of our lives. And our relationships tend to exist for long periods of time, sometimes decades. Over time, we grow, we evolve, and we change. Without kind and thoughtful communication together, we can feel disconnected. We can feel like strangers. And in fact, even in his own marriage, my friend Robert faced this. His wife, 30 years into managing a high-profile executive position, decided that she needed a quieter, simpler life. She resigned from the corporate world and in its place chose to work part-time at a local gardening center. Now, this was discussed well ahead of time, yet once it became a reality, Robert was struggling. He struggled with his perception of her, the expectation that he had of her. Her entire identity seemed different, right? Suddenly, his wife was around a lot more, their combined income significantly reduced, and this decisive, strong, powerful person who originally attracted him was now tending to ferns and fronds all day. Robert decided that he needed to, number one, examine these feelings. Number two, communicate them with her. And number three, open his eyes and his love to this new evolving partner she was becoming. But let's go a bit deeper. Why was he afraid of this new persona? Fear is an irrational thing, and it usually stems from very old, very deep feelings about security. For Robert, I knew instantly that her job change sparked a fear of financial insecurity in him. Though they had plenty of money, retirement plans, and savings, in his mind, he reverted back to being a teenager, hearing his single mother fret over finances. My wife has quit her job, and now we will go hungry. In other words, change had triggered deep worries about stability in his own life. And when people feel that change is going to cost them more than benefit them, they will be reluctant to invest in it. Now, I talked about this in our 14-day relationship repair kit. And if you have not seen that program, you can go find it under our programs tab on blissdarling.com. So if you want change, you need to understand what your partner thinks the costs are, why those costs concern your partner, and then show your partner that the benefits outweigh the cost to change. Here are 3 ways that you can convey that. First, be clear and concise about your needs. In Robert's case, his wife used her financial background to create new budgets and timelines for their life. They discussed what was important to each and why. To Robert's wife, less stress and demands meant more opportunity for gardening and travel, two things that made her immensely happy. They discussed also what pain would be created for each of them if they didn't make the change. They clarified how status quo was making each feel in the relationship. Finally, they talked about what would make each feel safe in the new situation. Robert would feel safe if they had a clearly outlined budget based on their new way of life. His wife would feel safe if he accepted her fully and trusted her judgment in her new pursuits. In your own case, you might take time to explain how it's making you feel and how your emotional state reflects onto the relationship. Understanding the consequences can create motivation for change. The second way you can convey it is know that change is a journey, not a destination. Change is scary because it makes us question much more than the simple decision in front of us. As you can see here, there are usually many other worries that surround that one choice to do something differently. It asks us to trust in the face of uncertainty. Change demands effort and energy, and it takes a lot more mental practice to begin a new habit. Therefore, change needs to be gradual to stick. Otherwise, too much in too short of a time will create resistance. And this is really tough, I think, for us women who like to see things as a path and a linear journey to an endpoint. But perhaps think of this journey as steps versus a finish line. With every small focused conversation, we have time to digest new information, consider possibilities, and create change naturally. And this is something that men do well. They like to take information, reflect upon it, and then create their own decisions and judgments based on the information received. And to that end, if you want the fastest result, keep your conversation to one topic. There are, I'm sure, lots of different contributing factors to this one topic, but if you expand the conversation to include everything in the kitchen sink, you will lose focus. Envision your topic, its beginning, middle, and end, and create a calm place in your mind for discussion. And then when questions arise, take a 2-second pause before responding. This is part of our charismatic teaching, and you will immediately appear more composed and in control if you do so. You know, it's fine to be angry, disappointed, or frustrated over a situation, but your best bet is to approach the discussion with conflict resolution in mind. You win when you both win. And the third way that you can convey what the change means to you is to understand in order to connect. So understand that not every action we make is fully conscious. We can do something and think that we know why until we really reflect and realize that there's an entire list of additional reasons, as we have discovered here. Then we can really clarify all the benefits and downsides of the different choices we might make. When we know why we're doing something, we can find new ways that cost us less hardship and help us keep the gains. It also allows change to happen and stick. So if your partner seems stuck, ask yourself, what is so important that they refuse to change despite knowing the negative effects? More than often, that answer lies in the implications of the change. In their opinion, what is going to be different when the change occurs? What is going to be sacrificed? Think of it this way. A partner refusing to change is protecting something of importance and value to them. And if we're honest with ourselves, in the same way, you need something to be different because some personal value, need, or belief is not validated or fulfilled. It might not make much sense to them either, why they choose to stay the same, but it is still a choice they are making due to hidden advantages in that choice. So take a moment to understand where they're coming from, even if those fears seem crazy to you, and know that your understanding does not mean condoning. Learn what they are trying to gain by staying in the comfort zone, besides comfort. And perhaps ask if there is something you can do for them that will create that safe space. When you understand their comfort zones, you can replace those beliefs with ways that you can contribute to make them feel truly safe and loved, and vice versa. Then you can estimate how likely it is that they're going to change. And when you have that estimate, you can decide, are you willing to wait? How long are you willing to wait? And what will you do if your partner refuses to change? If you can't accept the situation for what it is and they can't or won't change to improve it, then you have what you need to consider alternatives. I know that this was very short, and I hope that these tips help you to connect even better in your relationship. We have a lot of great things coming your way in the next few days, so please be on the lookout for that. Thank you, everybody.